Look at this little fella. Looks inconspicuous, doesn't he? Some might even consider it cute, or maybe even a little tasty under the right circumstances. Interestingly, he does have some similarities to today's focus, which is the furthest thing from the definition of cute. And as far as serving it up on a seafood platter goes, it's much more likely to be eating you, unless it's already filled up on the moon. That's right, it eats the moon. Cute crabs eating moons? That seems unlikely. We'll get there, don't worry. But first we need to jump way back in time to understand where this legend is derived. Now, it may surprise you to learn that you may have witnessed a moon mukbang yourself. In fact, it's highly probable you have. It's a solar eclipse. Obviously, we're better informed about what causes this in modern times, but rewind a few thousand years and you'll start seeing some pretty wild theories about what's going on up there. It might sound silly now, but with no frame of reference to understand these astronomical occurrences, it seems people got pretty inventive, usually assigning gigantic deities as the ones responsible. These beliefs are spread across the world in various myths and legends embedded in cultures of the time and traditions of worship. The earliest documentation of such colossal beings traces back to Mesopotamian mythology. Amongst the earliest recorded eclipses is that from Babylonian lore, dating back to approximately 2500 to 2000 BCE. Eclipses were interpreted as assaults by malevolent entities or monstrous creatures aiming to engulf or obstruct the celestial bodies of the sun or moon. Tablets detailing these occurrences make mention of a serpent of the night to explain the anomaly. In ancient Egyptian mythology, we have Apophis depicted as an immense serpent or snake. According to belief, during solar eclipses, Apophis would attack the sun deity Ra in an effort to consume him. Hinduism saw mythical serpent Rahu, a demigod who had been beheaded by Vishnu. Hungry for vengeance, he would occasionally try to swallow the sun or moon, spitefully causing an eclipse. Grow up, Rahu. It's not just serpents though. Siberia saw the mighty Tungus, a gigantic toad. Maoris believed in a lizard, Tiwiro. Norse mythology has Skoll and Hati, two wolves who chase the sun and moon across the sky, occasionally catching and devouring them. In Japanese folklore, the creature resembles a giant curved iron ball, which has an opening to swallow the moon. Now I think the Japanese win, because that one seems the closest. At least they got the shape right for an eclipse. There's a whole menagerie of wolves, birds, amphibians, attributed once you start looking. In fact, I was surprised to learn there's around 100 to 150 different entities across the world, all used to explain what was going on in various mythologies. Anyway, hopefully my tenuous bait and hook worked and you've stuck around long enough to bring us to my favourite of these monsters. Now, if we follow this thread and take it to the Philippines, they had their own smorgasbord of titans with their lunar munchies. On the island of Mindanao, amongst the Mandaya tribes, some held the belief in a particular nefarious crustacean, the Tombanokano, a gargantuan crab lurking in the ocean with a chip on his shoulder. I'm not sure if crabs actually have shoulders, so a chip on his carapace. Within their beliefs, the moon was once wedded to the sun, yet her spouse was prone to fits of anger. One fateful day, the sun became particularly enraged with the moon. Fearing for her safety, the moon fled, but the sun pursued her relentlessly. Despite moments of exhaustion causing the moon to slow down, her pursuer never managed to close the distance. Each time the sun neared his fleeing wife, she would accelerate once more. Very unhealthy relationship. Thus, the sun and the moon continue their eternal pursuit, often drawing close but never touching. This enduring chase is said to account for the perpetual movement of the sun and the moon across the sky. During happier times, the moon and the sun bore offspring, one of whom was a mystical being resembling a man but radiating with the brilliance of a star. However, tragedy struck when the sun, consumed by fury, slayed his son. In a gruesome act, the sun exploded him into countless fragments. Awful husband and even worse father. These fragments were scattered across the expanse of the night sky, where they continued to shimmer with fantastical luminosity. This grim tale serves to explain the presence of stars that illuminate the night. One of their sons is known as Tombanokano, who continues to dwell in the depths of the ocean to this day. Who'd have thought that if the sun and the moon had a child, it would be a crab? Tombanokano is a colossal crab endowed with the ability to wield lightning. With each blink of his eyes, a bolt of lightning illuminates the sky. However, Tombanokano has inherited his father's volatile temperament and often directs his ire towards the moon. On several occasions, his fury escalates to the point where he attempts to devour his own mother alive. I don't even know what the moon's done wrong in this story. Yet, vigilant observers intervene, abandoning their dwellings to confront the crab with the clamour of beating gongs and fervent shouts. Startled by the commotion, Tombanokano recoils and retreats to the safety of his underwater domain. Thus the moon is spared from destruction, owing to the timely intervention of the people. Interestingly, this is a common trait amongst various cultures, the use of loud noises, banging and song to dissuade a creature from consuming the moon completely. I'm not meaning to sound condescending here, as it would have made sense within the context of the time, but it reminded me of how you get a dog that will bark at a postman who approaches a house. When they post the letters, turn around and leave, the dog thinks it scared them off and enforces them to do it again the next time. Again, I'm in no way saying ancient civilizations were on the same cognitive level as dogs. It's just an interesting comparison, and it makes total sense why it became a done thing. As far as they saw, it worked. Why risk not doing it and having a beloved god or deity devoured by an angry crab titan? Tombanokano's abode is an immense cavity nestled within the ocean floor. However, when Tombanokano ventures out from his lair, the water surges into the void, resulting in low tide. The colossal creature's movements across the ocean floor generate waves that ripple across the sea's surface. Upon returning to his sanctuary, Tombanokano propels the water upwards once more. Thus, the cyclical ebb and flow of the ocean tides are attributed to the movements of this titanic crab. It's a fantastical tale, and I do like the idea of a colossal crab lurking in the depths, don't get me wrong, but I did flag a few things that might indicate just a little bit of embellishment in the practicality of such a being. To be able to consume the moon, he's a big boy. Crabs' mouths are pretty large and gross, so let's assume that he's 4 times larger than the moon. Seems reasonable. Placing an object 4 times the size of the moon in Earth's oceans would cause vast displacement of water, leading to a rise in sea level, flooding of coastal areas at the very least. It would be so heavy that it would deform the Earth's crust, leading to localised geological changes and triggering seismic activity. Not to mention, the crab would be so immense that it would emit its own gravitational force. I'm not ashamed to say that for a creature that traditionally eats dead flesh and feces from the ocean floor, I've enjoyed eating a crab or two in the past. So what if we served up a gigantic Tombanokano crab platter? Bear with me while I use extremely crude maths to indulge this venture. We'll take a localised crustacean of the Philippines, the mud crab. These little guys grow to be around 3 kilograms. A crab of this size yields about 140 calories. That's about 46.6 calories per kilogram of crab. Now the moon weighs 73 quintillion kilograms. Our hypothetical Tombanokano is 4 times bigger, so it weighs 292 quintillion kilograms. With that amount of succulent crab meat, it could provide the world with 13.6 sextillion calories. As an estimate, the world consumes 6.6 quadrillion calories a year. So putting this in terms that's a little more fathomable, it means that providing the entire human race ate nothing but crab, it would still take us over 2 million years to consume it entirely. That's assuming it doesn't turn rancid, so we need a very large fridge as well. I'll leave you to work out the logistics of that.